The Texas sun was sinking low, spilling gold across the wide-open plains, and the wind carried the dry scent of dust and wild sage through the empty fields. Two young women stood by the old wooden fence, their dresses torn from travel, eyes wide with exhaustion and quiet hope. The twins, Lena and Lila, had been on the trail for days, walking through miles of emptiness after the last town turned them away. Behind them lay a wagon that had broken down a week ago, and the last of their supplies were gone. Ahead of them stretched a ranch that looked more like a shadow than salvation, with broken fences, quiet barns, and a single man standing beneath the evening sky. He was tall, so tall it seemed the horizon had shaped itself around his shoulders. His hat shaded his face, but the fading light caught the edge of a sharp jaw and eyes that glimmered like storm clouds waiting to break. The wind lifted his long coat, and the muscles in his arms flexed as he leaned against the fence post. He looked like a man carved by hard years, silent, steady, and dangerously alone. The twins hesitated at the gate, unsure if they were walking toward mercy or trouble. Lila clutched her sister's hand and whispered, "Maybe we should turn back." But Lena shook her head, her chin trembling. "We don't have anywhere else." They stepped forward together, their boots crunching on dry earth. The man didn't move, didn't speak, only watched as they approached. The closer they got, the more they could see the faint scar that traced down from his temple to the edge of his beard, and the faint sadness that rested in his eyes. "Evening," Lena said softly, her voice almost lost to the wind. The man tilted his hat back slightly, revealing eyes the color of a deep western sky just before a storm. "You lost?" he asked, his voice low and rough like gravel sliding across stone. "We're looking for work," Lila said, though her voice shook. "We can clean, cook, whatever you need done, sir. We just need a place to stay for the night." The cowboy studied them, his gaze slow, measuring. The silence stretched until even the wind seemed to wait. Then he nodded once toward the barn. "You can sleep in there. Hay's clean enough. I'll find you something to eat." Lena's relief was immediate. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. He turned without answering and walked toward the barn, his long strides heavy and certain. The twins followed, their eyes tracing the power in his movements. Inside, the barn smelled of hay and horses. Lantern light flickered across old wooden beams, and a chestnut mare lifted her head to look at them. The man poured water from a jug into a tin cup and handed it to Lena. "Name's Cole," he said simply. "Lena," she replied, taking the cup carefully. "And this is my sister, Lila." Cole nodded once. "You can stay till morning. After that, we'll see." He turned to leave, but something in Lena's voice stopped him. "You live here alone?" Cole paused at the door, his hand resting on the frame. "For a long time now," he said quietly. Then he was gone, disappearing into the twilight. The twins sat together in the straw, sipping water, listening to the wind press against the barn walls. The place felt heavy with silence, but safe in a way neither of them had felt in months. Lila whispered, "He seems kind of sad." Lena nodded. "And kind of dangerous," she said, her heart beating faster than it should. That night, neither of them slept much. They heard Cole moving outside, the sound of boots on dirt, the creak of the barn door, the soft whinny of horses. Once when Lena turned on her side, she saw him standing under the moonlight, watching the horizon like a man waiting for something that would never come. By morning, the sun rose over the plains, painting the world in fire and gold. Cole was already up, chopping wood near the corral. His shirt clung to his shoulders, his movement steady and sure. When the twins stepped out of the barn, he glanced at them briefly before turning back to his work. "You girls ever worked on a ranch before?" he asked without looking up. Lila shook her head. "No, sir. But we learned fast." He split another log cleanly. "We'll find out," he said. That was how their days began. Quiet, slow, full of small moments that carried more weight than words. Lena swept the porch while Lila helped in the kitchen. Cole spoke little, but when he did, every word carried strength. He never smiled, but sometimes, when the sun caught him just right, Lena thought she saw something softer behind his eyes, a warmth buried deep beneath the scars of his past. That evening, As the sky burned orange again, a dust storm rolled in from the east. The air turned thick, and the sound of the wind rose like a warning. Cole rushed to tie down the horses, while the twins hurried to gather laundry from the line. In the chaos, Lena tripped and fell near the corral, coughing in the rising dust. A strong hand caught her arm, pulling her to her feet. It was Cole, his face half hidden beneath his hat, his eyes fierce and protective. "Stay close to the barn," he ordered, voice sharp but steady. "You don't know how rough it gets out here." Lena nodded, breathless. For a moment, the storm seemed to vanish. The only thing she could feel was the grip of his hand on hers and the heat of his presence. Then he let go, turning back to secure the gate. When the storm finally passed, the world was quiet again, coated in a thin layer of red dust. The twins helped clean up, and when they brought cold water later, he thanked them with a nod. That night, as the wind whispered through the grass and the stars spread endless above them, Lena lay awake in the barn, staring at the roof beams. She thought about the man who had given them a chance, about the strength in his silence and the sadness he carried like a shadow. Somewhere deep inside, she knew their paths were meant to cross for a reason. Outside, Cole stood by the fence again, looking toward the horizon, his jaw set, his eyes unreadable. But when he glanced back toward the barn, a faint, rare smile touched the corner of his lips, as if something inside him had begun to stir again after years of stillness. Morning light spilled across the ranch, brushing everything in gold. The storm had left the ground soft, and the air smelled of rain and dust. Cole was already out by the corral, working in silence. The twins watched from the porch, each lost in her own thoughts. Lila admired the calm in his movements, while Lena couldn't stop wondering what kind of pain hid behind those quiet eyes. Breakfast was simple: biscuits, coffee, and silence. Cole spoke little, but his every glance carried something unspoken. When he finally did speak, it wasn't what they expected. "You can stay," he said, his tone low. "Work hard, stay honest, and you'll have food and a roof. Deal?" The twins nodded eagerly, relief washing over them. For the first time in months, they felt safe. Days turned into a rhythm. Mornings began with chores, feeding horses, gathering eggs, mending fences. Cole taught them how to saddle the mare and how to read the signs of coming weather. He didn't smile often, but when Lila laughed or when Lena's determination showed through exhaustion, he looked away quickly, as if hiding something warmer than he wanted to admit. One evening, a fire flared on the horizon, an orange glow cutting through the dark plains. Cole's expression hardened immediately. "Brush fire," he muttered. Without hesitation, he saddled his horse. "Stay inside. Lock the barn. Don't come out till I'm back." Lena stepped forward, worry flashing in her eyes. "But you can't go alone." "I've handled worse," he said, and then he was gone, a blur of motion against the firelit sky. Hours passed. The twins waited, hearts pounding with every gust of smoky wind. Finally, just before dawn, they saw him returning, soot-covered, his shirt torn, but alive. Lena ran to meet him. He swayed slightly in the saddle, exhaustion written in every line of his body. "You shouldn't have gone alone," she whispered, helping him down. He gave a faint, tired smile. "Didn't have a choice." As she guided him into the barn, their hands brushed, and something in that small touch held more than words ever could. Gratitude, fear, and a spark neither dared name. Lila watched quietly, understanding without jealousy. She saw the way her sister looked at him, the way Cole's guarded heart seemed to soften just for her. Later, when the sky began to brighten, Cole stood by the fence again, staring at the horizon. The fire was out, but another had begun inside him, slow, steady, impossible to ignore. The twins' laughter drifted from the barn, and for the first time in years, the old ranch didn't feel so empty. He exhaled deeply and whispered to the dawn, "Maybe it's time to stop running from ghosts."